I believe my skills will be needed.
They're leaving the galaxy. We've never done that. You know as well as I do, Discovery might not be coming back from this.
Which is why I am counting on you to support the Vice President in my absence. However long it may be.
Myra, you are the Federation now. What your presence means, what you represent...
makes it all the more crucial that I be there when we make contact.
Hello and welcome to the Feminist Frequency Star Trek podcast. I'm Anita Sarkeesian, and this week we're talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, Episodes 10 and 11. And I'm very excited to have returning guests, JARRAH HODGE, one of the hosts of the podcast Women at Warp, and also blogs about feminism in Star Trek at TrekkieFeminist.com. And also, Sarah Gulde is another host at Women at Warp. I should just have all of you on, and it should just be like the side gig, right? Sarah's also the editor-in-chief of the Star Trek Quarterly fanzine. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hi.
Sarah is just returning from the Star Trek cruise. Is that right?
It is. I have not got my land legs back yet. Everything is swaying.
Tell me about the cruise. How was it?
The cruise is amazing. It's like all the best stuff about going on a cruise and all the best stuff about going to a Star Trek convention mashed up together for a week straight.
It was a whole week, huh? Oh, I guess that makes sense. Cruises are a week. I don't know why. Wow. This is great. I'm doing great. So like panels and activities and pools?
Panels, activities, pools, all the celebrities are just like walking around the ship and you run into someone in an elevator in the hallway and you say hi. All the entertainment they have every night is run by the celebrities. They have like a Hollywood Squares type game show. They have like you get to go to a concert by Anthony Rapp, a Broadway star. Just out of nowhere.
That's so great.
Yeah. There's an evening
lovely.
where George Takei talked about the internment camps. Like we didn't know what he's going to talk about and it ended up being that and it was incredible.
Wow. That's awesome.
Can't wait for next year.
JARRAH, have you ever been on the cruise?
No, it's kind of sounds like my nightmare. Like I love that it looks really fun for other people, but the idea of being stuck on a boat with that many other people. Plus I just generally have not been attracted to going on cruises. Like to me, it's like right up there with having kids and like the things I least want to do in life.
Sure, yeah.
I am if I was going to go, it would be on the Star Trek cruise, and it looked like from your photos, Sarah, and from all my other friends' photos that everyone had a lovely time. So I'm very glad about that.
So this isn't an aversion. This isn't like a new COVID aversion to being trapped in a boat. This is just like fuck cruises.
That didn't help. But no, it's like just aversion to like if I'm at a convention, I like being able to like leave and have time away from other people in like a large room and not on the ocean.
Fair. Yeah, I've never wanted to go on a cruise before. And I've only done it once, and it was the Joko cruise. And and I went because I was one of the people that did things, entertainment, if you will. I don't know if you'd call what I do entertainment. But yeah, it was very interesting, that sort of vibe, Sarah, where like everyone's just together and like there's no real distinction between participants and like the entertainment and the folks, and like there's just a really and I found on Joko there was a huge respect of space. So like if someone is like, oh, like hi, I'm running into you in the elevator, like it's not overwhelming, which I think sometimes at fan conventions it can be, but understanding that everyone's trapped in the same place, there's a lot of respect there. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a rule on the Star Trek cruise about no asking for selfies or autographs, and I found that really took the pressure off. Like, they knew we weren't going to be asking for stuff from them, so I think they were a lot more relaxed about just saying hi or having a little chat.
Yeah, fantastic. Cool. Well, I'm so glad you had a good time, and I'm so glad you squeezed us in to do that. I hope you've caught up on your Star Trek.
Oh, yes. They showed the new Discovery episode and the new Picard episode on the ship.
Oh, that's so fun. Like as a group watch?
Yeah, they're just like, whoever wants to watch is playing at 11:30 in the main theater. So everyone just showed up and we didn't have to get a week behind.
That's
awesome.
Lovely. I mean, of course they did, right? Like, of course. All right. Well, We are nearing the end of the season, and I'm curious how you two, like, before we get into these 2 episodes, how you two are feeling about the season thus far.
I will say that it's not hitting the mark for me the way that last season did. I loved last season. I felt it's overall been a bit slow, and that there are pieces which we will discuss in these episodes that I am starting to get very frustrated with. Overall, like, there's been aspects of it I have really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed the Saru and Tarina like relationship building. Really enjoyed the the emphasis on communication, and the space dads being concerned about their found family kids. And so there's like still aspects of it that I've really enjoyed, but overall it's just been like just a bit off the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. Sarah, how are you feeling?
I'd say the same. I'm not sure if it's like the pacing or what, but yeah, it's a really ambitious story, and I'm not sure if they're quite rising to the challenge.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Okay, so here are my bad descriptions of the episodes. Episode 10, The Galactic Barrier, gives us Tarka's backstory about his friend. I don't know why they're like skirting around this shit, but that he wants to meet up with in another dimension, and Discovery crosses the Galactic Barrier. Or it tries to. I can't remember. Man, that I literally cannot remember episode 10. It's like taking all of my energy because it was just so whatever. Episode 11, Rosetta, has Tarka and Book sneaking around on Discovery while Michael and the away crew go to a deserted planet to try and get some clues to help with first contact. All right. So I kind of like the beginning of the season. I was here for some of the things they were doing. And now like since the break, I've just been like, okay, I'm not with it anymore. I think it's just it's just boring to me. Like so much so that I just watched these episodes and I can barely remember them. So let's get into it. So as I was preparing to talk to you all, I was looking at my notes, and I usually take pretty detailed notes so that I can refresh my memory. And and just reading my notes, I was like, what happened? Did they go to the thing? Did they not go to the thing? They're preparing to do the thing. And then I learned that Women at Warp has recaps.
Yes.
I had no fucking idea. So y'all, great recaps on the Women at Warp site, which we'll link in the show notes.
Thank our co-host Kennedy, and Sarah is doing our Picard recaps this season. And yeah, they were helpful for me too, because I also watched the episodes and then couldn't remember them and had to go back and read up.
Totally. So I feel like 10, the big thing in 10 was learning about Tarka, right? That like, there's stuff happening. We can talk about the stuff happening with like going first contact and all that, but I feel like nothing really happened. I don't know. Did something happen? They just kind of like crossed the barrier in a bubble or some shit. Was that this? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought humanizing someone that's kind of fucked up is like a complicated thing, but I kind of enjoyed learning more about Tarka's experience and what like made him who he is today and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like how they told that story didn't really add much to Tarka already saying this was my special friend and I really miss him. It didn't add anything extra really for me.
I appreciated it because I was really fed up with both Tarka and Book, and that actually just continues into the next episode. But I did appreciate that pause, and that like it doesn't make what he did okay, but it makes it understandable. And at that point we really did need anything to be able to like cut them some slack. I mean, in terms of like not spelling out what their relationship is on one level, I mean, my friend that I watched it with, we were going like, so what are they? But on another level, I kind of appreciate that they, we don't know that they might just have like a deep queer platonic relationship, and that's awesome. And I do think like it's cool that you don't have to see like everyone in bed together to like know that they love each other.
And the show's not afraid of queerness, so it's not like it's It's not like they're like skirting around the issue here, really. So yeah, I mean, I don't, I made a little joke about it, but I don't need them. You can care that much about someone because you've spent time in a fucking work camp with them and to like, want to destroy people or whatever, to get back with them. Yeah. I mean, it feels like filler though. Like that's the thing is it's fine. And I don't mind. I like, it was more interesting than anything else that was happening in the episode, I guess. But it does feel a little bit like these last episodes feel like a slog a little bit, right? Where it's just like spreading out the making first contact and the tension that they're building about Earth and Navarre being about to be like destroyed by the DMA. I'm just like, it doesn't have the same emotional punch that it did at the beginning, right? Like it just feels like it's being dragged for me a lot.
I will say that my actually like really significant issue with this episode, reminding myself through the recap what happened, is that you have this whole thing where Rillick doesn't want to tell the crew that the DMA is going to destroy Earth and Navarre, and Burnham is like, honesty is the best policy. And I actually really disagree with how that played out. I think that given that there is literally nothing constructive they can do with that knowledge, that it's actually kind of cruel and counterproductive to everyone actually having their mind on the mission, and that it's not intrinsically unethical to withhold that information if there is literally nothing they can do about it. They're just like asking them to be anxious about it, basically. Like, it's not like she's like, and so we've set up a comm station and everyone gets to send a final message or like anything meaningful. They just are asked to basically sit with the stakes.
And it kind of comes back to bite her in the ass in the next episode, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I feel like we've got to this point in this season where it's like Burnham's instincts are always right. And as much as I love Burnham and I want to see her succeed, it just kind of sucks the conflict out of things.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I agree with that last statement. I'm not taking a stand on whether they should have or shouldn't have. I think that's like I think that's a very fair debate to have. And I think it is a interesting, useful debate that's very Star Trek-y. And that there wasn't a debate, right? Like what you're saying is that Burnham is always right. And there is no more conflict. Like it was a fake conflict, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was very manufactured. I did kind of like them being like, okay, well, here's where we went wrong last time. So let's preemptively figure out how to navigate this terrain that we're on. And I thought that was really nice modeling of like, let's be better. Let's communicate better through the power dynamics that are happening here. So I thought that was kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think like you're right. There is nothing that they can know or do. But I also, sorry, the staff, whatever. Now I'm like, let's debate this, and we don't need to do that.
Can I go back for a sec?
Yeah.
You guys are making me think it's almost like a Kirk-Spock relationship where Michael's always like, I want to do the thing. And then the president's like, you maybe want to think twice about that. And then Michael's like, I'm going to do the thing.
And then Michael's right.
Yeah.
Right. Michael's always right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. So okay, cool. That episode's really boring. I don't know. I don't know how much we can really dive into it, and we can go between them. Like the next episode, I made a note saying that it was just really exhausting and over exposition. And it like, I really like a lot of the mental health stuff that's throughout this season. Like it's very like sweet and kind and modeling this behavior and like the tension and the stress. But the mental health stuff in this episode felt exhausting to me and just like over, like it felt overdone in ways that what didn't feel natural or like intrinsic to what was happening.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there are, like I said, there's a sweet spot where sometimes it's super, super effective. Like I think a few episodes ago where Culber is saying, I need help too, basically. I need to admit that like I also am struggling. Like those moments feel super genuine. And in this episode, I loved the sort of life advice that Jet Reno gives to Adira about how like everyone's a mess. That extremely relatable. And you don't ever, just because you grow up doesn't mean that you're not struggling, and that you like seem brave on the exterior doesn't mean that you're also afraid on the interior. So
yes, which was totally sweet and like a nice thing to say. Like, yeah, but then the counter to this shit is that there's like this episode has stressed the timeline so aggressively, right? In a way that you're like, oh my God, like, should they be going down there? Maybe they shouldn't be going down there, but like they should be, etc. But like, let's in and out, y'all. Let's do this. And then they have a whole fucking goddamn heart to heart down there on the mission. And you're like, what are you doing? Why do you think the audience is here for this? Because we're not. We're like, you've just stressed to us how much this is a big deal. So find another time, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, at the end of this episode, like Michael asked Culber about like, he sort of lingered in the nursery and that he's not doing okay. And like, so it was like after the mission, they debriefed and talked about that, which I thought was fine. And I really liked seeing Culber being like, I'm not okay. Like, I don't know how to do this. But having
saying, how could you be? Because again, very relatable. When things are on fire in the world, it is hard to be okay.
I felt it was really a lot about us. That particular conversation, I was like, I feel seen. I think this is all us right now. But having Detmer, who, as we've talked about on this podcast, like the crew, we don't really know anything about the crew. And like, even when they do give us a little bit, we still don't fucking know anything about this crew at all. And so having that little bit about Detmer felt really frustrating to me because I'm like, I want to learn more about her and know more about her. And right now isn't the fucking time, right? Like, read the room, everybody.
Well, I feel like in Star Trek, back when they had like 20-something episode seasons, they could like take a whole episode where you could learn about this character, and now they just kind of have to try and squeeze it in wherever they can, and it's not working very well.
No.
Like, you know what actually might have been lovely is if Detmer had confided in Adira at the end as like, you know, that mission was actually really hard for me, and here's what I was going through. I mean, that might have seemed like a stretch given that she's like such a new friend for her, but it just felt to me like, I don't think Detmer should have had to come to the captain and apologize for it. I think that the captain, as the mission leader, should have just been like, we need to just
suck it up
together for a couple minutes, and then we're going to talk when we get back to the ship. Because I mean, I think, like it's obviously really hard. Like if you want to think of Discovery as a workplace, and that we don't want to ask people to shut down their emotions in the workplace. But if there is a legitimate crisis, like if you're a firefighter and you go into a burning building, you don't stop to say like, what is this bringing up for you?
Correct. Yeah. I also like, so the other thing that happens down there is that the dust is causing hallucinations, and they keep saying, but our suits factor out environmental factors, our suits. And I'm like, you're in another fucking galaxy. Like, why do you think with such aggressive vehemence that your suits are going to work in an entirely different galaxy with unknown everything? And then they finally are like, oh, maybe they don't do the things that they should do. And I'm just like, what on earth? Why do you think your audience wouldn't? I think I didn't like these episodes more than I realized now that I'm talking about them.
I really felt for Saru because back when he went through whatever he went through and he wasn't scared of everything anymore, I always felt like that was someone going on meds for the first time. And so I felt like he was like forced to go off his meds, and it just seemed horrible. That really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was like, I thought that was definitely interesting of like the sort of, I don't know if PTSD is the right word, but the like, oh, I never wanted to feel that way again. Like, there's a lot of interesting themes in this episode that just felt bad, like real rough around the edges, you know?
Yeah. Like, I really liked the whole theme of, you know, they find out that it seems like these aliens can communicate with these substances that are akin to pheromones, but that like when both humans and Kelpians come in touch with them, they seem to evoke the same feeling. So, and that idea of a new form of like alien communication, it feels very Darmok-y. It's like a very classic Star Trek theme that I really appreciate. But you're right. Like, I think things felt almost just kind of like they were cramming a bunch of themes into this episode, but then it still felt slow.
Yeah, and it was sweet, right? Like the place that they're like, it's a meeting room or, whatever. And they're like, oh, it's actually a nursery. And, them having this feeling of like, they all kind of allowed the dust in and was like, oh my God, it's love and like caring. And like, I think all of that is really sweet and like interesting. And like you're saying, a new form of communication too. And then I appreciated that when they were on the ship back, or the shuttle back, Culber's like, well, maybe they're, if they care about humans and not humanity, if they care about children and life, then maybe we can reason with them and be like, stop killing our people, right? Like, stop killing our planets. But that Saru's like, yo, maybe it's the opposite, or maybe they're doing it, maybe they're doing it because they come first, right? And they need to do this thing to survive. And so, that's clearly the tension that's going to build up as we start. Like, we have 2 more fucking episodes. Like, God damn it. What are we going to do for 2 more episodes?
Oh,
I think Star Trek has actually, one of the things with both Discovery and Picard is that they suck at mysteries. They they do these big buildups and they just don't deliver. And I'm waiting for this to also not deliver,
So I do have one small scoop for the last 2 episodes from the cruise.
Okay.
Yeah, so someone asked, Kenneth Mitchell had said he was going to be in this season somehow, and someone asked, are you going to be in one of these last 2 episodes? And he said yes.
Who's Kenneth Mitchell?
Oh, Kenneth Mitchell is the actor who played Cole and Kolsha and Tunavik, the Klingons, in seasons 1 and 2, and he played Aurelio, the scientist in the wheelchair. I think it was last season. He has ALS. He no longer walks or speaks. He uses a computer like Stephen Hawking, but he is still a part of the show, and he is somehow going to be in one of these last 2 episodes.
Oh, interesting. Also, you know why this show sucks now? Because Tilly's gone.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, I was talking with someone else about that who just said it feels like a bit of the life has gone out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still like, I would say net positive on this season and like glad there will be another season, but it's been a bit of a slog near the end.
I bet she's gonna show up in one of these last 2 episodes as well. So fingers crossed, because
or she'll show up at the end and hug somebody, and you're just like, "Fuck you." The only way I'm not going to be mad is if they announce a spinoff where it's the Academy and she's like running the Academy. That's the only way I'm not going to be mad that they removed her from the show.
I need to see in the last 2 episodes, and we still have probably some more to say about this episode, but I need Tarina and Saru to Vulcan finger kiss.
Dude, okay, so we need to talk about Book and Tarka, and we need to talk about Saru and Trina. First of all, in episode 10, I made a note that said, does Trina look hotter in this episode? Because she looked really fucking hot in this episode. I don't know what was happening. Like, her freckles were coming out, but I was like, what up? What up, President? What's going on? Her and Saru being like, I don't know if it's appropriate. And like, just, they're the cutest.
Yes.
I am so here for that whole thing.
Like, let me meditate with you.
Oh my God. I'm really feeling this whole awkward nerd romance. Like, I get
it. But like with the president of a fucking planet. It's so lovely.
It is.
So Book and Tarka. I feel like we're in this fucked up situation now where like it's still really I like Book a lot, and I like Book and Michael a lot, and it's hard, and it's still heartbreaking to me. So that last shot where Book is like in the Jeffries tube or whatever, and Michael is just like standing next to the wall, and you see both of them, and I'm just like, just tell her, and like they could just run away, and they could just like be. They're outlaws together, which is all I want for Discovery. Is I want them to be outlaws together. And it feels like it's gone on for so long that like there's no way that Book and Tarka come out of this without being thrown in jail. And what does that mean? Right? Like it feels like they should now be teaming up at this point and like reintegrating. And there's just, I don't see the outcome of this other than Tarka goes to the other dimension and Book is in jail.
I mean, we kind of started out with Michael in jail.
Yeah, I mean, I think Book is like, you know, at the end of this episode, Tarka kidnaps Reno. And I think Book is finally gonna say this went too far, I guess, like didn't have 8 other chances to do that.
Well, but remember Book tapped what's her face? Ndoye.
Yeah.
So I feel like there might be maybe a contingent that like goes to that side, and therefore at some point it's gonna be like, well, you know, enough important people were torn about this thing, so everyone gets a pass or whatever.
I mean, consider like at the end of the first season of Picard, I didn't think that half of them would be back in Starfleet. Spoilers for season 2. You can take that out if you want.
It's fine.
I really, really can't stand Tarka, and I wish Book would just look at him and be like, okay, if this guy's agreeing with me, am I right?
Okay, but 2 creep things that Book did in this episode that, because I also love Book and I love Michael and Book, but I was like, Book, you were irritating me because you somehow thought you could control this guy even after he had fired on Discovery twice. He fired on Discovery once, and then he destroyed the DMA. And then after you realized you were wrong, so I've already frustrated with him for that. And our co-host Kennedy in her blog post calls them the getaway kids because they get away with everything. But in this episode, 2 things he does. First of all, he summons Ndoye to a deserted corridor and tries to sneak up on her in the dark. And she very well defends herself. But I was like, just don't ever do that to a woman, okay? I mean, to anyone. But that is an immediate creep move. That would be a massive red flag if any guy I knew did that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah.
Also, why would someone be like, meet me in the hallway to talk about this big important thing?
I know. And then I also think even though the moment where like she's leaning against the wall is cute, the fact that he got Ndoye to like let him spy on her was creepy.
But well, so what came out of that? Is she just gonna feed him information?
She basically said like this has to be a contingency plan. Like I'm going with plan A for right now, but like I will work with you if it comes down to plan B.
Yeah. Also, it was a little woo-woo magic that they were like, we know how to sneak into Discovery and do this patch and do all this shit. And you're like, I know Tarka is like a genius and all, but there was a little. And now that we I love Zora. Zora. I love Zora. I loved that whole like, are you sentient storyline? Like, do you ever like that's so my like Star Trek heart shit like was the best. So now I'm like, so you're like fucking with her, like you're abusing her in some ways, and like it just feels different than just like it feels different to me than just like messing with a ship, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're actively deceiving a person.
I was really scared.
They're gaslighting Zora.
Yeah, actually, that's right. Yeah,
I was really scared at the end of the episode. I seriously thought Tarka had killed Tig.
Yeah, no,
like until the moment they showed her, I was so sure he had killed her.
my brain didn't go there. I don't know. That feels very not Star Trek to me.
I guess,
so I think I didn't think about that.
So I'm rewatching The Expanse right now. I'm on season 3 where he plays the bad guy who like kills people. So I guess my brain is just going there.
So you're transferring between fandoms.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just like, they can't kill off Tig Notaro, but I was worried that, I mean, it just seems more kind of humorous when she... he
has this face like he got caught in the cookie, like with his hand in the cookie jar, right? I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I assumed he would talk his way out of it somehow, and like she would join. Like it feels like maybe they can create their own faction, right? A little bit like that, like dividing up the Discovery crew or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, that's not what happened. They kidnapped Tig, and
like,
now,
yeah, if Tig had, or if Reno had shown any inclination of being on this side as well, but like, you know, they could have kidnapped
Reese.
That would have made more sense if you're looking to make a faction. I mean, that said, they didn't know what side he was on, but he's like the one who's been the most vocal about not agreeing with them going after Book.
yeah. Also, what was that weird shit with one of the other delegates and the president being like, you need to be more positive? Where did that felt like way out of left field. Was that another like modeling communication stuff? I don't know. That felt weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know anything about him. And also, I don't think it's weird that he'd be like, well, this plan sucks. Like, you know, like, he didn't, whatever. And so it feels weirder that he, like, got the side eye from his boss, who's not even his boss, right? Like, that kind of feeling. And then he's like, but it was a good try, everybody. It just, the whole thing, it's just these last two, I'd say the last 4 episodes, I think, have been pretty rough. Like, I've been like, what is happening now?
It was kind of like a random C story in addition to the A story and the B story.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I think it was trying to do was to point to the fact that they are not sure about Ndoye's support for this mission. But I agree.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, like, so Hirai is the linguistics guy that, like, Kovic brought on, but that's all we know about him. And then I didn't think his comment was that inappropriate, but then Rillick is basically saying, like, you have to be more diplomatic than that. And in the last episode, she made a really big deal about how hard it was to hold the delegation together. So I think it's trying to make it seem like Rillick is really doing some heavy lifting to, like, keep Ndoye on board. But it didn't totally work for me. And I agree, it felt random. Also, I don't need 3D crosswords to be a thing.
Okay, I gotta say though, I enjoyed the little boss move of like, I'm gonna reprimand you and then fill out the word. I was like, I like that. She's smart. Yeah. All right. I have nothing else to say about this. Do we miss anything that needs to be addressed? I did like when they said, when they were in the cocoon and they're playing the dust and they say, it feels like love. I thought that was a sweet line.
Oh, and like props to the show for their use of the AR wall, because that last episode looked incredible. Like, no more sets, no more going to like a botanical garden to film. They're just on an alien planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know that I have anything else either.
I like the outfit. I like the away outfits.
Oh, yeah.
But the outfits, I think the costuming on the show has been pretty fucking stellar for the most part.
Oh, yeah. They did mention, again, on the cruise, that those away outfits are like the most complicated costumes they've ever had to wear. And Doug Jones says it was the most fittings he's ever done for a costume.
Was Doug Jones on the cruise?
He was not. But Emily Coots did introduce the episode, and she relayed that story.
Doug Jones, man, forever.
Yes.
He's the best. Oh, he's
and
so
they
good.
They had his little EV suit hoof boots. I love that.
It was for real.
And also I love the fact that like Doug Jones and the actress who plays Tarina are like my parents' age, and so getting them to see, and like as characters they're probably much older, especially Tarina. So I'm always down with like having relationships and romance in TV show that isn't limited by age.
I love it. And I love that the president like isn't married and like it doesn't is not the conventions of like our universe of like what is like a what is a person who is fit to be a politician, you know?
Yeah. Maybe her fiance died in like combat over Ponfar. And she just didn't want the new person.
Yeah, maybe. We'll go with that. All right. These episodes sucked. I don't know what to say. Okay, well, we're going to do our ratings, which is out of whatever point system you would like to create, however you want to rate these episodes. So you can do them together, you can do them separately, but let's go through that. Jarrah, how would you rate these episodes?
I will rate this, let's go with 2.5 out of 5 pleasant pheromones.
Excellent. Sarah?
I'll go a little higher. I'll go with 3 out of 5 steamed bananas.
Nice.
Steamed bananas. Yeah. If I liked these episodes, I would rate them on a scale of It Feels Like Love, because I liked that line a lot. But I'm going to rate them on the bubbles that they rode to get through the galactic barrier, which also there's a galactic barrier. Like there's like literally a fucking wall that you have to go through. What?
That's from like old-timey canon.
Okay.
Like it's in Star Trek 5 and it's also in the animated series.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's I think that there are others who would debate the concept extensively. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it other than like I didn't know I need that, but
Yeah,
sure.
Great. All right, I'm going to rate this on galactic barrier bubbles. And I'm going to do... Here's my problem. I hate the rating system. I could just ditch it. This is my podcast. I can do whatever I want on it. But I hated the first 2 seasons of Discovery so much that I feel like I have to rate everything henceforth better because I think the show is better. So it's always like on a scale, you know, like it's always like on a curve. So in the scale of this season, I will rate these a 3 out of 5 galactic bubbles because I'm just not enjoying it. But it's not the dumpster fire that the first season was.
Oh, I feel like I also, sorry, I just have one last thing to add on the galactic barrier, which is that one thing that I feel like our co-host Sue would point out is just calling it the galactic barrier is also irritating because, and they have lines like, it's outside our galaxy. And it's like, yeah, I think you mean universe, basically, because the galaxy is the Milky Way. And you're outside that a lot in Star Trek.
You're bringing science into this. Come on. Can't believe. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I'm sorry that we didn't have a better show to talk about, but I appreciate you being here for this. Where can people find you? Both of you.
They can find me on Twitter at Sarah Miyoko, SARAH, M as in Mary, IYOKO, or they can find my fanzine Star Trek Quarterly at StarTrekQuarterly.wordpress.com or on Facebook.
And you can find me on Twitter at JARRAH Penguin or at TrekkieFeminist.com. And you can find us both at Women at Warp on various socials, as well as at WomenAtWarp.com.
All right, y'all. That is it for this episode. Discovery has 2 more episodes left, and I have finagled Ebony to come back on for the finale. So tune in for that. All right, bye everyone.
Report. Yay!
Yeah, I know, right? We only get the hair report twice a season now. All right, bye everyone.